My friend and I always used to walk through a wonderful spacious park when we were younger. It was full of tall trees and it was very nicely maintained. In this large park there was an abandoned mansion. I can't really say how long it had been there before, but on that day, the front door of the mansion was wide open. The two of us decided to check out what was inside of the place, and as we inched through the front door, the very first thing that we noticed was that the mansion's floor was littered with crumpled up pieces of paper. We looked at each other and observed that there was no other pieces of furniture, nothing except for those wrinkled balls of paper. The mansion had 6 rooms on its main floor, and every room we entered bore more and more scrunched up pieces of paper. We decided to open up one of the paper balls to see what was inside. Our curiosity had gotten the better of us. I picked up a single wrinkled piece, and as my friend picked up another, I unfolded my paper, smoothing out its bends and dents, and at that moment, it was almost as if a piece of rainbow emerged before our eyes, and I was suddenly standing next to a large window in one of the upstairs rooms of the house. I was looking outside into a large park. When I looked down at the piece of paper that I held, it read simply, "Look outside the large window that oversees the park in the upstairs parlor." I dropped the piece of paper to the ground and it fluttered gracefully. Meanwhile, I stared at my open hands in a bout of horror. Dazed and utterly perplexed, I found my way downstairs and met up with my friend. He was in the kitchen sitting at a round table that hadn't been there before. Where did that come from? I had wondered. My friend stared at his open paper and reread the words several times before he looked at me and turned the page my way. It said, "Go to the kitchen and sit at the round table." We stared at each other for a few moments, vaguely afraid, but then we began to chuckle, and within seconds we were laughing our heads off, marveling at our newfound game. We could hardly believe what had happened, but being as young as we were, the mystery was endlessly exciting. We decided again to open another scrunched up piece of paper. As we opened up the crumpled papers on the floor, we experienced the same sudden flash of rainbow colors, but this time I ended up laying in the field behind the mansion. When I peered onto the paper in my right hand, it read, "Lie down in the field behind the mansion." I giggled uncontrollably. After a few minutes of running around the house, I found my friend collecting multiple balls of paper in his arms, eager to experience more of these strange and exciting phenomena. We both got the gist of what was happening at this point. We had no idea as to how it was possible, but we decided to have more fun with it. The supernatural always had a way of captivating our hearts. After a few more run-throughs with these strange mini teleportation devices, I began to feel apprehensive. I wondered if, at one point, I would be placed somewhere I didn't want to be, or I'd be made to do something that I did not enjoy. We continued though. Minute after minute, we unfolded many papers and traveled through bedrooms, closets, trees, but then, after having been on the roof of the mansion, I stood before my friend, dead on the living room floor. I didn't scream. I couldn't. Murder him. I read on my crumpled page as I felt a surge of vomit and bile rising into my throat. Nothing came out, but the sickness in my throat spread to my stomach, my head, and my heart. I didn't know what to do, and at this point, I finally began to scream and shout, praying to God for this nightmare to be over. I wanted it to go away. I wanted to rewind our day and be outside again, together, walking underneath the trees. All I could do was hide his body in a cupboard. I willed myself to be calm, and I hesitantly unfolded another paper in the hopes that the problem would correct itself. Once again I saw the colors of rainbow, and I found myself standing behind a tree several meters away from the house. I could clearly see the front door. Within a few instants, I saw both myself and my friend walking through that door. I began to wonder if I had died or if I was having an out-of-body experience, but I looked at the sheet in my hand and it only had the words scrawled upon. Time will repeat itself and a paradox will take place, and it will be allowed. That gave me an idea. In my pocket remained the paper that made me kill my friend. Without looking at it, I crumpled it back up. Quietly, I followed my other self, who separated from my friend, as he explored the rooms of the house. As I crept up behind him, he turned around very suddenly. Before he could utter a syllable, I forced the paper in front of my eyes, and in a flash of rainbow colors, I was able to kill my other self. With the laws of time being broken, or at least bent, I was able to take my place in this world, my dead self's place. I hid my limp, bleeding body in a cupboard in the upstairs bathroom and left it there to rot. To my great relief, I heard my friend call my name downstairs. My friend, who managed to stay alive and well, my best friend. When I went downstairs, he greeted me excitedly, smiling childishly and being blissfully unaware of the situation. I pretended that nothing had happened. In a heartbeat, I told him that the house had creeped me out and it would be much, much better if we just left. After that day, we never went near that mansion again, and I don't know if anyone saw or heard anything that happened between us, but I recently heard from another friend that the house had been demolished, and I can tell you with great certainty that while this news is a relief, I dreaded the probable prospect that my corpse was uncovered in the bathroom cabinet. Real quick, I just want to say thank you for making it to the end of the video, and I also want to say thank you to user/shortstory1 for reaching out to me. I'm glad you enjoy my voice and wanted me to do your story. As for anyone else, if you have a story you'd like me to read, please be sure to link it either down below or in my Discord, which you can also find a link to that in the description or in the comment section pinned. But once more, thank you, and I'll see you soon.